دولة الرئيس مسرور البرزاني رئيس وزراء إقليم كردستان. أهلا بك في هذا البرنامج.
أهلا وسهلا.
سيدي، السؤال الأول يتعلق بالوضع الآن في العراق، لأنه كل العالم العربي وكل المنطقة مهتمة تعرف متى تتشكل الحكومة العراقية المقبلة. أريد أن أعرف رأيك الخاص في التصريح الأمريكي الذي يقول أنه لو كان السيد نوري المالكي هو رئيس الوزراء لن تتعاون الولايات المتحدة مع العراق. البعض يعتقد أن هذا موقف يصح للولايات المتحدة أن تتخذه، والبعض الآخر يعتقد أنه لا يحق أن تتدخل الولايات المتحدة في هذا الأمر، على أساس أنه موضوع يتعلق بالسيادة، وأنه العراقي هو الذي يختار رئيس حكومته. ما رأيك؟
Well, it's important to have the respect of the Iraqi people. We had an election. The Iraqi people voted, and they've decided whom they want to represent them in the parliament. And of course, after the parliament, the time comes to select the speaker and then the president and of course the prime minister. So the nomination of these people has to be a reflection of the reality of what people are expecting. Of course, the sovereignty of the country is very important. And I think all the friends of Iraq are already respecting the sovereignty of the country. And at the same time, the relationships for Iraq are also very important. That be the relationship with the United States or the relationship with the international community. So this is something that needs to be handled very carefully. On one side, as you know, that the selection of the Prime Minister is a duty of the Shia sector. This has been the norm in the last few elections. So the biggest bloc in the Shia community is nominating a prime minister, and then of course the name is presented to the parliament, and the parliament will eventually make that decision. So it's really something that we believe that the Shia bloc, which is the main sector responsible for nominating the candidate, must make their final decision, and of course we respect the decision of those that eventually come up with the final candidate.
أيضا من الأعراف السياسية أن رئيس الجمهورية يكون من الطائفة أو العرق الكردي الكريم. ما رأيك في التسميات المتوفرة حتى الآن لرئاسة الجمهورية؟
Similarly, the Kurds should nominate someone to be the president of the country. So it's not going to be the president of the Kurds. It will be a Kurdish candidate, but it will be the president of Iraq. Similarly to the Speaker of the Parliament, which is the selection of a Sunni community, and the selection of the Prime Minister, which is the responsibility of the Shias. Now the selection or the election of the President is also the responsibility, or it comes back to the Kurdish community to make that decision. What is important is that based on the logic that is used for both Shias and the Sunnis, that the winning majority of any party or any bloc within that community is responsible to nominate their candidate. This should also be true for the Kurds. In this case, Kurdistan Democratic Party has the largest votes, popular votes in all of the country. More than 1.2 million votes voted for Kurdistan Democratic Party, making KDP the biggest party in all of Iraq. And that means that half of the Kurdish population voted for the KDP. If we use the logic of the Shias and the Sunnis for nominating their candidates, then it would be the right of the KDP to nominate someone for the presidency. Now, the KDP is willing to basically, and look at the majority of the Kurdish people and look at the interest of the Kurdish people by accepting a consensus for a united candidate. But if other parties are not willing to work with us on a united candidate, then we can only reach consensus using a democratic process that is fair and it's just. This is by using the Kurdish parliament to vote for the candidates, and then eventually the one that gets the highest votes becomes a united candidate for all of the Kurds, and then it's presented to the federal parliament. Or we have the Kurdish candidates or the Kurdish members of the parliament in the Iraqi parliament that will, at the first phase, vote on the 9 candidates that are available today. Whoever gets the highest numbers of the Kurdish voters in the Iraqi parliament becomes a united candidate, and then it is presented to the parliament for the final decision. These methods, we believe, are the only way that we can have a fair election of a president in a fair way if we don't reach an agreement. And it seems that until now we don't have an agreement with the other parties, especially one party. So at the moment, this is what we are suggesting, that we either have a united candidate or we have to elect it by using one of these 2 methods.
دولة الرئيس، بعبقرية شديدة وبإجابات دبلوماسية أنت شرحت لي طريقة صناعة كعكة الانتخابات في العراق. لقد عرفتها، لكن بالتأكيد الحزب ومجموع الناخبين الذي تمثلونه لديهم، أو أنت شخصيا لديك مرشح مفضل لمنصب رئيس الجمهورية. هل سميتم هذا المرشح ومن هو؟
Of course. We have selected the current foreign minister, Dr. Fuad Hussein. We think that he is very capable. He's proven his talent in his capacity as a foreign minister. He's been very active in his role, and we think that he will make a very good president for the country.
هل تعتقدون أن المرحلة المقبلة تحتاج بالإضافة إلى قدرات معالي الوزير حسين أنه تحتاج أيضا إلى إلمام بالسياسة الخارجية، لأنه ملف السياسة الخارجية يبدو أنه سيكون بالغ الأهمية في صراعات المنطقة وفي العلاقة مع الجيران وأيضا في العلاقة مع الولايات المتحدة؟
Well, as you know, the different capacities have different responsibilities. So the president will have a different portfolio. It's not going to be the foreign minister, but definitely the position of the president is important for the country in its own capacity. Now, who becomes the foreign minister then must take the responsibility of leading the foreign policy of the country at that moment.
سيدي، لديك تصريحات حينما كنت في الزيارة للولايات المتحدة الأمريكية أنه التواجد الأمريكي في العراق هو في مكانين، مكان داخل العراق وفي إقليم كردستان، وأنت ترى أن الوضع لمحاربة الإرهاب يحتاج للوجود الأمريكي في فترة أطول من باقي أقاليم العراق، وحددت تاريخ أواخر 2026. هل ما زلت ترى أنه لابد أن يتواجد الأمن والوجود العسكري الأمريكي لدعم المشروع الكردي في مواجهة كل أشكال الإرهاب؟
I think the presence of the American forces in the country in the fight against terrorism wasn't just an invitation by the Kurdish forces, but it was an invitation by all of Iraq. The Iraqis wanted Americans to help them in fight against ISIS, and I must say that we must be very grateful for the support that the American-led coalition has provided to Iraq, and especially to the Kurds in the fight against ISIS, who were in the forefront of fighting Daesh at that time. We don't think that ISIS is completely defeated. Yes, they have lost territory, but there are still pockets of ISIS running around, and they're still there. And especially with the changes that are happening in Syria, we still see that there are some activities of ISIS members. And of course, with the release of some of the members who were kept in different prisons, the threat of ISIS is very real. I mean, we cannot ignore the fact that ISIS is not a serious threat. It is. And for that reason, I think, yes, the capabilities of the local services, the security services of the countries in Iraq, in Syria, in Kurdistan are better than before, but that doesn't mean that ISIS cannot come back in a different form and pose a different threat to the entire region. For that, we do believe that the presence of the American forces, the assistance of the Americans in helping us to completely defeat ISIS is still much needed. The deadline for the departure of the American forces was made by a negotiation between the American forces and the federal government in Baghdad. But we have a different view. We think that still we need to have the support of the United States and the coalition forces in the fight against ISIS and all sorts of extremist terrorists.
هل يزعجك سيدي أنه عودة داعش إلى إعادة ترميم نفسها وإعادة لم شملها وجماعتها، وخاصة بعد هروب بعض قادتها وبعض كوادرها من سوريا مؤخرا واتجاهها للعراق؟
I think it is possible that ISIS can regroup, but let me take a step back and tell you why we still think that ISIS and terrorism is a threat. ISIS or any extremist organization flourishes and becomes strong, emerges in environments where it can operate in. And those environments are usually places where there is injustice, poverty, inequality, and incompetency. We still don't see that these problems are being addressed properly. We still see that there is a lot of ethnic cleansing. We still see that there is a lot of incompetency or injustice and inequality. These are the environments where extremist organizations usually take advantage of and manipulate the people and the population in those areas. So we do believe in order to fight terrorism, you need to first address this on one side and then continue to keep an eye on the already existing known terrorist organizations like ISIS. So yes, I would say that ISIS still is capable of coming back because the environment is there. We need to look at both simultaneously.
Sir, كيف تنظر إلى الاتفاق الأخير الذي تم بين قسد والحكومة والنظام في سوريا مؤخرا؟
I think it's a good step in the right direction, but we do believe that the Kurds have suffered a lot. They deserve recognition. They deserve certain rights. We are not going to dictate and tell what those rights are. I think they're capable of negotiating for themselves. We are there to help, and we have been reaching out to all parties involved to maintain the ceasefire. The most important thing is that to make sure that there is no war, and in a peaceful environment there could be more room for more solid and constructive dialogue for a more sustainable solution and agreement. So I would say that there is still work needed, but I hope that they will reach an agreement that would satisfy all sides.
الأكراد يا سيدي يتواجدون في سوريا، في العراق، في تركيا، في عدة أماكن بكميات أقل. ما هو الفارق ما بين كل حالة كردية؟ هذا سؤالي الأول. سؤالي الثاني، هل ترى أنه مستقبل الأكراد الأفضل أن يندمجوا داخل الدول المركزية لشعوبهم أم يستقلوا ويكونوا أمة كردية واحدة؟
Well, this is a very interesting and sensitive question, sir. As you know, Kurdistan's been divided throughout history, and history has not been just when it comes to the Kurdish question. But there are new realities. Now Kurdistan is divided into 4 major countries, in Syria, Turkey, Iran, and Iraq. And every part of these countries has its own unique characteristics and situation. We respect the uniqueness of each of these areas, but that doesn't mean that Kurds in any of these countries do not deserve to have complete rights. We respect the way that the Kurdish areas in Syria, in Turkey, in Iran, or in Iraq are struggling to achieve their goals. We are not going to intervene in the policies of the neighboring countries, but my focus is in Iraq, and we think that in Iraq we have achieved a federal system which we do believe is going to work if it's fully implemented. So it's not really about what form of, let's say, relationship you develop. It's about what you really intend to do with the relationship. Now in Iraq we have federalism, but it's not been fully implemented. We still have problems. But in some of the areas there are still negotiations of how this relationship should be fixed and adjusted. In Turkey, for instance, there is a peace process that has started. I hope it will lead to a more sustainable solution.
لم أحدثك عن إيران لأنه في إيران لا يمكن للأكراد أن يكون لهم أي نوع من الاستقلال لأن الدولة المركزية شديدة.
Well, in Iran as well, I think the Kurds deserve to have their own rights, but that's for them to decide on what sort of relationship they want to develop and how they can negotiate a more sustainable solution for the people. But as a nation, Kurds, like every other nation, are, they deserve to have the right of self-determination. That doesn't mean, sometimes even talking about it, is a taboo and forbidden. That the Kurds shouldn't talk about their aspirations, talk about their dreams. This is Kurds, like every other nation, have equal rights. Kurds have the same rights that Arabs have, Persians have, and the Turks have. The reality is different, and we are dealing with the reality today.
أنت حينما سئلت في مؤتمر صحفي ذات مرة هل أنت كردي أم عراقي فأجبت فورا أنا كردي ولم تفكر في هذا الموضوع. السؤال إذا كانت الإقليم أو الدولة التي تعيش فيها تعطيك كامل حقوقك فما هي المشكلة أن تكون عراقيا إذا كانت تعطيك كامل حقوقك؟
I don't think being a Kurd is a problem. Only those who reject pluralism or respect of other nationalities see Kurdish nationality as a problem. God created me Kurdish. I cannot deny it, and I'm proud of being a Kurd. Whether I live in Iraq or I live anywhere else, I am a Kurd, and I cannot change that identity, and I will never change that identity. Now, the question is, how is my relationship in Iraq? How am I being treated in Iraq? If Kurds feel that they are equal citizens, if Kurds feel that they're equal citizens in any of these countries, they will not be forced to seek other solutions, but they will enjoy life like every other citizen in that country. But let me tell you, in Iraq, for instance, we are the last to receive salaries if we do receive salaries.
هذا كان سؤالي. علمت انه مثلا غرمتم مليارات من الدولارات بسبب تأخير العاصمة او الدولة المركزية فانها ترسل لكم مستحقاتكم، مستحقات البترول، الضرائب، الخدمات، كل ذلك منعتم لسنوات طويلة. كانت لديكم مشاكل مع العاصمة مع بغداد.
This is unfortunately a violation of the Iraqi constitution. So it's not just a violation of the Kurdish rights, but the Iraqi constitution calls for equal treatment of all Iraqi citizens, including the Kurds. But we don't see that. We see that the budget is being used as a political card against the Kurdish people. Of course, there are always explanations that the Kurds did not play their part, but of course, if there is a good referee to come and look at how the Kurds have responded and acted in Iraq and how they have fulfilled their commitment as citizens and how the government has treated the Kurds.
حكومة شيعة السوداني كانت العلاقة تتحسن فيما يختص بمستحقاتكم بالرواتب أم هي نفس السياسة؟
We have shown and given unconditional support to Prime Minister Soudani, and of course we always give the support to any Prime Minister, expecting them to respect the Constitution as it should be. We do not expect any Prime Minister to be a Prime Minister of a different sect and also treat all the citizens differently. Unfortunately, we haven't seen the Kurds being treated equally in every, let's say, phase of the premiership of all these prime ministers.
كيف استطعتم أن تقيموا علاقة ذكية حكيمة مع بغداد ومع طهران مع واشنطن بشكل يعني ذكي ومتساوي في آن واحد؟
We tried to be a constructive, positive element. We don't seek problems. We don't seek intervention in the affairs of our neighboring countries. We do want to have mutual respect, relations based on mutual respect with everyone. So that actually is the way that we have been acting upon, maintaining good relations with all of our neighbors, but also insisting on protecting our rights when it comes in our relationship with Baghdad. So being good citizens is not very difficult. And I think the Kurds have proven that they don't want to be a part of the problem, but to be a part of a solution. And I think over the years, the Kurds have proven that they are a part of solutions and not the problem.
سؤالي الأخير سيدي له علاقة بالوضع في المنطقة. أنت ترى الآن أن كمية الصراعات العربية تسبب إنهاك شديد للمنطقة وتجعلنا دائما نعيش على أننا على حافة حرب. مثلا الحالة التي نعيشها الآن نحن ننتظر إما تسوية ما بين الأمريكان والإيرانيين أو احتمالات ضربات. كيف تتعاملون مع مثل هذه الأمور؟
I can only speak for ourselves. I cannot speak for any other country. Of course, we do not want to see tensions. We do not want to see conflicts. We don't want to see military confrontations. We think that time can heal the wounds and hopefully solve the problems. It's best that every country is trying to control the situation or at least stay out of the problem. Do not add fuel to the fire. As far as Iraq goes, we want, and this is what we've been trying to do, and thankfully this is what we've seen from Baghdad as well, that Iraq needs to stay out of this conflict. And I think all of the countries should try to maintain the problem, contain the problems, and not be, let's say, problematic when it comes to these confrontations.
دولة مسرور البرزاني رئيس وزراء إقليم كردستان، شكرا لك سيدي.
شكرا جزيلا. Thank you.